Red Brick Media. High quality CDs, DVDs, lectures, Khutbah, conferences and Quran recitations. All revenue generated supports our dawah work, supported by visiting our store. You can now purchase directly from our site www.redbrickmedia.co.uk.
غرباء 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 غرباء
أنا الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن خير الكلام كلام الله وخير الهدى هدى رسول الله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. During the prayer, as you saw, the generator went off, but no matter what happens, no matter what transpires in the hayat of this dunya, any situation that the Muslim individual, the community finds itself in, Al-Islam shows us and tells us what to do and how to navigate. The church bell, it competes with us. We're not going to say the Illuminati, conspiracy, Allahu Alam, but it can't drown out how we worship Allah and the Kalimatul Haq. The fact that these two incidents transpired during the Salat on this auspicious, illustrious day in this gathering, and it didn't change, and it doesn't change us worshiping Allah alone, wahdahu la sharika lahu, is a sign the Muslims shouldn't panic. However, wherever, whenever we find ourselves in a situation, the more you know about your religion, the easier you make things for yourself. The less you know about your religion, the more complicated matters are going to be. That's a lesson we should take away from this Salat al-Jum'ah. Another impromptu issue is, if this generator goes off again, I'm not going to scream. We're going to discontinue this khutbah and we'll call it a day and ask Allah Ta'ala to reward and to bless us. And what was collected by Al-Imam Ahmed rahimahullah ta'ala in his Musnad, in his authentic hadith, as it is not permissible Ummah al-Islam to use weak hadith about the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. The companions who we should pattern our understanding of Islam after, the companions who we should worship Allah the way they worship, the companions who the way they believed in Allah, what they believed about Allah is what we have to believe and how we have to believe. They was tenacious and serious and stringent on using weak hadith and saying that the Prophet said something that he didn't say, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that's because the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam told the people, al-kadhibu alayya laysa ka-kadhibin ala ahad. Lying on me is not lying on someone else. The Jews and the Christians, they lied and they said Isa ibn Maryam claimed that he was the son of Allah, and now they have a religion that when Isa ibn Maryam comes back, he's going to free himself from them. In the authentic hadith, the Nabi says sallallahu alaihi wasallam that Allah, when he created the Jannah, he told Jibril, Ya Jibril, go and look inside of the Jannah. Jibril went to the Jannah and he looked inside of the Jannah. He came back to Allah and he swore. And he said to Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, وَعِزَّتِكْ لَا يَسْمَعُ بِهَا أَحَدٌ إِلَّا دَخَلَهَا. I swear by your izzah, Ya Allah, any human being who hears about what's inside of that Jannah, he's going to enter into it, because no one in his right mind hears what's inside of the Jannah and then he refuses to go in. In the Jannah, there's no hunger, there's no thirst, there's no animosity, there's no fatigue. It's pure, absolute felicity. The stress, distress, problems, oppression, what we have going on in our lives, in the dunya, is none of that. It is a utopia. Whatever you're looking for, whatever you want, it's just their perfect life. He said anyone who hears about it, he's going to go into it. He won't refuse to go into it. Allah Ta'ala decreed that the makarih at that moment would surround the Jannah. The makarih are those things that people like, the things that people naturally dislike. After Jibreel looked in the Jannah, came back to Allah, Allah decreed that the Jannah would be surrounded by things that human beings dislike. For an example, in order to get to the Jannah, to get in the Jannah, Allah put around the Jannah fasting for 30 days, wearing hijab, fasting in long days and long hours and when it's hot, getting up early in the morning to pray Salatul Fajr, coming to the Jummah and taking time off from your job. All of those things that people like. He wants to sleep all day. In order to get in Jannah, Allah put around the Jannah al-Makarih, those things that the people don't want to do. They go against the nafs. Allah told Jibreel, now go and look at the Jannah. When Jibreel went, and now he saw those things that people dislike surrounding the Jannah, he came back and he said, I swear by your izzah, none of them are going to enter into the Jannah. Because those things that are around the Jannah, that are surrounding the Jannah, the things they have to do to get through it, I don't think they're going to do it. After that, Allah Ta'ala created the hellfire. He told Jibreel, Ya Jibreel, go and look at the hellfire. Jibreel went to look at the hellfire. He came back. He said, I swear by your izzah, no one hears about what's in that hellfire except that he will not go inside of it. If he knew about that hellfire, he would not go inside of it. He was in his right mind. The fire, the torment, the pain, the smoke, the straitened circumstances, everything that he doesn't want. It's a big problem. The one who has the least punishment in the hellfire is wretched. The uncle of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Abu Talib, gets the least punishment of the hellfire. A pair of shoes have been made for him, and is going to ball his brains forever by the Lord of the Kaaba. And he's the least one. What about the imams of kufr? What about the ones who are pulling the strings to send Bani Adam astray? What about the people who say Isa is a God along with Allah, Muhammad is a God other than Allah, Abdul Qadir al-Jailani accepts the dua along with Allah? Anyone who hears about what's in that hellfire, he's not going to go into it. Allah Ta'ala decreed that at that moment the hellfire would be surrounded with shahwat, the desires, arrogance, ignorance, money, power, stubbornness, being self-centered, women, the shahwat, the desires, laziness. Allah said, go, Jibreel, and look at the hellfire. Jibreel went and he saw that around the hellfire were the shahwat, the desires. He came back and he said, I swear by your izzah, I think all of them are going to enter into the hellfire. One of the issues and one of the doors that will enter them into the hellfire is he has drama, he has problems with his mother, his father, his brother. He has some issue with another Muslim, and he can't humble himself to say I'm sorry. He can't humble himself to say I'm wrong. He can't humble himself to say it was my fault. He can't humble himself and say, it was your fault, but there's no problem. So he enters into that whole fight. And Jibril, with all of that knowledge that he had, he said, I don't think any of them are going to be saved from it because of those shahwat, following the desires, ignorance, talking about the religion without knowledge. The individual who's haughty, the one who says, here I am, look at me, listen to me. I don't know what I'm talking about, but listen to me. I'm better than you, I'm better than him. I don't think any of them will be saved from it. This authentic hadith of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, from the benefits of it, is that it brings to our attention an issue that we have to hold on to in our lives, in our religion. It's an issue that's called At-Targhib wa-Tarhib. At-Targhib wa-Tarhib. That is those texts from the Quran and the Sunnah that, when you read them, some of them will suggest everybody's going to Jannah. Like the statement of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, لا يزال المرء في فسحة من أمره ما لم يصب دم حرام. A person will always have a chance to go to Jannah as long as he doesn't murder someone. So the vast majority of the people, we haven't murdered anyone. So the hadith suggests we all going to go to Jannah. That's the targheeb. Everyone hears that. He says, I didn't murder anyone. And the Nabi said, I'll have a chance as long as I don't murder anyone. The Nabi says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Man qala la ilaha illallah nafa'athu yawma min dahrihi. Anyone who says la ilaha illallah is going to benefit him sooner or later. One day, it's going to benefit him. He's going to go to Jannah. That hadith suggests everyone's going to Jannah. Everyone. But there are other ayat and there are other hadith that suggest no one's going to make it. Kullu bani Adam khatta'un. All of Adam's children, they make sins. Everybody here, everybody without an exception, he commits sins in Ramadan, before Ramadan, and after Ramadan. And many of the sins are major sins, like cutting off the ties of relationship. It's common. Sins like things that we don't even consider to be sins. At-Targhib wa-Tarhib. So the Muslim has to exist with balance. He has to have targhib, he has to have a tarhib. He can't hold on to all of the ayat and the hadith that say you're going to Jannah, and he lives his life and he's negligent. Nor can he be on the other side, the other extreme, where he doesn't have any hope. The father who says to his child, you're no good, you never did anything right, you're this, you're wretched, you're no good, and he has nothing to say, something's wrong with him. That's tarhib. The watch that you have that's broke, the clock that you have in your house that's broke, is permanently fixed on 12 o'clock and it doesn't move. That clock that's broke is correct 2 times every day. Nobody is always wrong. Your child is never always wrong. Even Iblis. The Nabi said about Iblis sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Lola أراد الله أن لن يعصى لما خلق إبليس. If Allah didn't want to be disobeyed, He would have never created Iblis. That doesn't mean He wants the people to disobey Him. It means when the person makes jihad against waswas of Iblis, he goes against Iblis. Iblis, who is evil, he's sharp, but he will help people to be in the Jannah al-Firdaus. He will help people to go to the Jannah because they didn't listen to him. So even Iblis, there's some benefit in that he taught us right here that the greatest ayat of the Quran is ayatul kursi. The point is, your son, your daughter, you're never going to be successful. You're a bum. Something's wrong with that. And the child who has a parent who's difficult, the child can't think his parent is no good. I hate you. You're no good. That's an extreme. The husband who has a wife, he can't look and pick on everything that is a problem with his wife, nor can she do the same thing. For those of you who are husbands, the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam told us, لا يفركن مؤمن مؤمنا إن كره منها خلقا رضي منها آخر. It is not acceptable, it's not permissible for the believer to hate his wife. If he sees in her a characteristic that he hates, let him look for something that he loves. That's not only the husband towards the wife, that's the wife towards the husband. That's the brother towards the brother. If you only look for the evil in people, you're going to find it. You're going to find it. No one is always wrong and no one is always right. At-targhib wa tarhib, sirat al-mustaqim, in the middle of our affairs. Allah Ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, وَإِنَّ رَبَّكَ لَذُو مَغْفِرَةٍ لِلنَّاسِ عَلَى ظُلْمِهِمْ إِنَّ رَبَّكَ لَشَدِيدٌ. Verily, your Lord Allah, He has a lot of maghfirah for the people concerning the zulm. They have a lot of zulm. He made oppression on himself. He made oppression towards his mother, his father. Oppression towards the slaves. Oppression towards the Muslims, Kafirs. Oppression day in and day out. And Allah is Ghafur, Rahim. And in the same ayat after that, and verily Allah is Shadeed. Allah is Ghafur on one hand. In the same ayat, His punishment is Shadeed as well, showing us that you have to be in the middle. So what's the point? In the month of Ramadan, Ikhwani, we all know, after reflecting and looking retrospectively on our Ramadan, we heard in the Khutbah, we heard on the radio, we heard in the masjid when people were giving talks, we heard people saying, hey, the Ramadan and the fast of the Nabi, it was like this and it was like that, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What are you doing? What are we doing? We're watching TV, we're watching the Olympics, we're doing this and we're doing that, and we're not doing this and we're not doing that. It's the cultural fast, we're not really doing well. And we heard people criticizing us during the month of Ramadan, and rightly so. We needed to be reminded. We needed to be reminded that we have to up our game and raise our game in the month of Ramadan. Rightly so. But we heard it a lot. Today is not that type of day. The day of the Eid is not that type of day. What are you doing? Why didn't you do? This is a day of celebration for us. This is a day where we show that we're happy, that we have completed a monumental task, and that we finished the month of Ramadan. In Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah Ta'ala revealed those ayats of fasting, Kutiba alaykum as-siyam, all of those ayats. The very last ayat that He mentioned, the very last ayat in the ayat is the statement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَلِتُكَبِّرُوا اللَّهَ عَلَى مَا هَدَاكُمْ وَلَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. Allah Ta'ala wants you to praise Him and to say Allahu Akbar as a result of what He guided you to, and in the hopes that you will be people of the shukr. That's the last ayat of the ayat of Ramadan. And for that reason we say Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, Walillahi alhamd. That's why we say that. In the Eid of Al-Adha, after you complete the Hajj, you've completed a monumental ibadah. Monumental. So after that, we come to praise Allah for giving us the opportunity to have completed Ramadan. So we have to acknowledge and recognize. In this gathering right here, right now, there are some people in this past Ramadan, with all of our shortcomings and all of our mistakes, there are some people in this majlis right now, every single ayat of the Quran, they read it and they heard it, like the people who made salat with us, our huffaz. The people memorized the Quran. In Green Lane Masjid, we had two, and then another one came. One is praying, and the other one is listening. So he read all of the ayat, and he heard all of the ayat. And then they switched. He read all of the ayat, he heard all of the ayat. That's something that is a targhib. That's something that is positive. That's something we have to look at. In the month of Ramadan, the Taraweeh, I saw it with my own eyes. And if you didn't see or I didn't see, if you don't know what I don't know, Allah saw and Allah knows. In the first row, there were some Muslims who didn't miss a single rak'ah for Salat al-Taraweeh. Not a single rak'ah for Salat al-Taraweeh. They made every Isha and they heard all of the Quran in the month of Ramadan. That's a monumental task. In this majlis right now, there are many people who read all of the Quran, half of the Quran, more Quran than they ever read since they've been Muslim. It happened this year. A monumental accomplishment. In this majlis, there are some people who they read Surah Al-Kahf in the 4 Jum'ahs that we had in the month of Ramadan. Normally they don't do that, but in this year they completed 4. They prayed Salat al-Fajr in Jama'at for all of the Jummahs, because they know that the Salat of al-Jummah on Friday is the best Salat of the week, and it was Ramadan, so they made the effort. People before Ramadan, they made mistakes like they missed some prayers here and there. They missed Fajr consistently. They missed Dhuhr, Asr. They missed it consistently. But in this Ramadan, they upped their game and they didn't miss any prayer. Or they only missed one or two. Where before Ramadan, it was common. They made an effort. That's a monumental task. We can't come here and say all the time, every day, every occasion, you're no good, you're going to the hellfire, you didn't do it right. Sometimes we have to take time out to say to ourselves, I'm not patting myself on the back, but Allah knows that I tried. Allah knows that I tried. Some Muslims, they began fasting Ramadan after us. Some Muslims, they broke Ramadan. The fast yesterday was their Eid in Africa and Waziristan in Pakistan. Someone, between us and them, someone got Laylatul Qadr and someone missed Laylatul Qadr. Everybody can't get Laylatul Qadr if they didn't start at the same time. No problem. You did the best that you could do in order to follow what was correct, the Quran and the Sunnah. You did your level best as a human being. You did everything. You didn't take the position because of asabiyah. You didn't take the position because of racism. You didn't take the position just blindly following. You did the best that you can do. And it turned out you missed Laylatul Qadr. But our Lord is Al-Jawad, Al-Kareem, Al-Ghafur, Al-Rahim. You did your best, Allah Ta'ala reward you, even if you missed the mark. So concerning Ramadan, Ikhwani, there were some people in this audience from our youngsters who fasted the whole month of Ramadan, and the young boy is only 10, 9, 8 years old. He fasted a number of days. He should be commended, it should be recognized, it should be acknowledged. Some Muslims, born and raised Muslims here, they never had a Ramadan that they fasted the whole month because they were astray. This year, they got all of the days in. That's a monumental accomplishment. Something that should be acknowledged. Something that should inspire the person who did it to have hope in going into that Jannah. To have hope that Allah will forgive him for what before of his deeds. Ikhwani, in this majlis right now, this musalla, there are some people who last year, this time, they didn't know what Ramadan was. They embraced Islam. We have 15 people in our masjid who embraced Islam. 15 on 5. One of them embraced Islam 2 weeks before Ramadan. Ramadan came and the man fasted the whole month with the support and the help of his brothers. That's a monumental accomplishment. You people born in Islam, raised in Islam, you take it for granted that you just have to fast. You just got to get ready and you just do it. Just put yourself in the position. That man living over there, that lady living over there, she doesn't and he doesn't know anything about fasting. He comes into the religion 2 weeks before Ramadan. He starts fasting and he completes 30 days for the first time. This is a day that that person should be happy. As a result of that, in our masjid, we know that our religion tells us we have to support those individuals. So today, those brothers who reverted to Islam, anyone, whether you reverted this year, this is your first Ramadan, or you reverted 20 years ago, after Salat al-Dhuhr, inshallah, in Greenway Masjid, you can go to the masjid and there's an Eid party for you, food, only for reverts. If you were born and raised in Islam, don't come. Don't come. I don't want to embarrass anyone. Ramadan is over. Don't come. Only for the reverts, only. Ikhwani, Laylatul Qadr, someone donated 10,000 pounds to the Islamic school. Laylatul Qadr, inshallah. That is a monumental feat. Someone donated 1,000. Someone donated 5,000. Someone donated 100, and he's not rich, she's not rich. Someone in this place did not wear hijab before Ramadan, and they went through Ramadan and now she's wearing hijab. These people, all of them should be recognized and they should be acknowledged, and their efforts should be appreciated, and we shouldn't be too down on ourselves. At Targheeb wa Tarheeb on Islam Channel a few days ago, they were giving and taking donations for an orphanage in Bangladesh. You call into Islam channel, the kid, the mother, anyone who says, I want to donate this, I want to donate that. Sheikh, I want you to make dua for me. So the presenter on Islam channel will start making dua, and then they'll go to the next caller. Some revert lady calls, she said, my name is Khadija. I want to make a donation, but first I want to tell you, I grew up as an orphan, so I appreciate what you're doing. I've had a lot of problems as an orphan when I grew up, and Allah guided me to Islam. But I had a lot of problems in Islam as well. I had 2 children who died, one after another. I married a man who his ethnic background, his ethnicity is Muslim. I don't have to tell you which one it is, but it's from us. The husband was a Muslim, the girl, a white girl, she became a Muslim. After she lost the 2 children from the qadr of Allah, the husband, he divorced the girl. She said, I'm alone, I have no one but Allah. And she started crying uncontrollably. They had to cut her off because you couldn't understand what she was saying. Someone from the studio of Islam channel talked to the girl offline, tried to console the girl. It was too overwhelming for her. She committed murder, she committed suicide that very night. In the month of Ramadan, there is a hadith of tarheeb. The Nabi, he says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, ummat al-Islam, you young brothers, you young sisters, you Muslims who have depression and mental problems, there is a hadith of tarheeb. The Nabi, he says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, من قتل نفسه بحديدة فحديدته في يده يتوجأ بها بطنه في نار جهنم خالد مخلد أبدا فيها. Anyone who takes a knife and he kills himself with that knife in this dunya, in the hereafter, he's going to have that knife and he's going to be putting it in his stomach forever in the hellfire, forever. That's a hadith of tarheeb. Tarheeb. Don't kill yourself. Allah is shadeed. That lady killed herself. But on this day, in this gathering, we're going to let you know that committing murder, suicide, whether you kill yourself or someone else, is from the biggest of the kaba'ir. Tarheeb. But Allah Ta'ala also mentioned in the Quran, قُلْ يَا عِبَادِيَ الَّذِينَ أَسْرَفُوا عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ لَا تَقْنَطُوا مِنْ رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَغْفِرُ الذُّنُوبَ جَمِيعًا. O my servants, O my slaves, who have gone overboard and you are excessive in committing sins, major sins, don't give up hope. Don't despair from the rahmah of Allah. Allah will forgive every sin, every crime. The only one he won't forgive is if you die making shirk. So I want to say here and now, oh Allah, we ask you by your greatest name to have mercy on that lady Khadija. Oh Allah, don't make us responsible for not being there to support her. Whatever her issue was, put her in the Jannat al-Firdaus and give her the blessing, the barakah of what went before she committed murder. And don't hold us responsible for it. In our community, in this majlis right now, there's a young brother. He got married only a year ago. His wife has stomach cancer. She died yesterday. She died yesterday. The last day of Ramadan, she died. She didn't have the ability to fast. She was sick. But look at what happened to the boy, married only 1 year. You young people, you will not promise you're going to live to see tomorrow. Ummat al-Islam. That bell went off, that generator went off, and we were able to navigate through this issue. It didn't throw us off the square. We didn't lose focus. Just take your time. Everybody relax. Now, what happened? 2 or 3 of the brothers went to solve the problem. Now they have a problem. What do they do now when they got back in the line? The brother, he realized he has to do something. So they got up and they made 1 extra rak'ah. They know what they're doing. But if the person doesn't know his religion, he'll put his finger in his mouth about any and every issue and he'll do like this. When the religion tells us, you don't have to be like that, Ya Abdullah. You can go straight on the Sirat al-Mustaqim. In the UK, in America, in the spaceship, in the submarine. You young people are going to the university. The Nabi told us, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, وَجُعِلَتْ الأرض مسجدا وطهورا فأيما رجل من أمتي أدركته الصلاة فليصلي. Allah Ta'ala has made this earth that we're standing on. He made it a masjid and He made it a purifier. Anytime salat comes, a man from this ummah has to pray. You have to pray at your job. You have to pray at the university. You have to pray if you get married. You have to pray if you go on vacation. Salat is not taken off of you, Abdullah. Al-Islam helps you to be a student. You don't have to take off your jilbab. You don't have to take off your hijab. You don't have to do what's in disobedience of Allah. Lastly, with all of that targheeb, we're all going to go to Jannah, inshallah. You have to be happy about what you've accomplished. There is one issue on the side of targheeb that I have to mention here today. Right now, we came out to this musalla because that's the sunnah of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, to pray the Eid in the musalla. So there are people who are here, who are responsible, and people who have participated in following this sunnah, finishing off our Ramadan with this ibadah in this place, monumental. We ask Allah Ta'ala by His Ism al-Azam to put us all into Jannah for whatever role we played in this monumental accomplishment. He kept the weather nice and we've done it. But in reality, there are enough Muslims in Birmingham where we could have gone and we could have rented that football stadium, Birmingham City. We could have rented Aston Football Center, and all of our masjids could have come and we could have made one sunnah, one salah with one imam. One of the benefits of this assembly is it lets all of the people know this is the Ummah Muhammad. They believe in La ilaha illallah. And they come on this day not to sing jingle bell songs, not to believe in Santa Claus or Man Christmas, not to believe in any of that stuff. They came here with the sole purpose of acknowledging La ilaha illallah. So the people look at them and the people say, those people are different. But we will never be able to come together because of the condition of the Muslims. And this is tarheeb. This is negative, and I have to mention this. We shouldn't pat ourselves on the back. Naam, your relatives, they started fasting the day after you. Don't fight them. They have dalil for that. No problem. Don't fight them. That man said, you can't make iktikaf in your masjid. There are people in this assembly, in Greenway Masjid, over 20 brothers make iktikaf, 9 days in the masjid, 10 days in the masjid. And they don't leave the masjid. That's a monumental task, a monumental accomplishment. And that's why most of us didn't do it, and most of us can't do it. It's hard. They should be acknowledged and recognized. But in terms of this unity, it's a problem. Allah Ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, كان الناس أمة واحدة فبعث الله النبيين مبشرين ومنذرين وأنزل معهم الكتاب ليحكم بين الناس ليحكموا بينهم فيما اختلفوا فيه وما اختلف فيه إلا الذين أوتوه من بعد ما جاءتهم البينات بغيا بينهم فهدى الله الذين اختلفوا فيه والله يهدي من يشاء إلى الصراط المستقيم. The people, Allah said at one time, they were one ummah. All of the people were one ummah saying La ilaha illallah. And then Allah Ta'ala sent them prophets and messengers to give them warnings and glad tidings. And Allah sent down the book to them to judge between them in any ikhtilaf that they had, any different. And they didn't have any ikhtilaf except after the knowledge came to them, that's when they started differing. After the knowledge, after the Nabi came and made everything clear, what to do. Then they started differing, not when they were ignorant, they had knowledge. And Allah Ta'ala guided those who had knowledge to the Sirat al-Mustaqim. Now the point here, Ikhwani, is we're supposed to be one ummah. One Allah, one Qibla, one Quran. But we are not going to be able to go to that place and rent that one place out because over here we have some people who curse Abu Bakr and Umar, and I can't go with them. Wala karama. I can't go with them. Anybody here, let this be the most important lesson in this khutbah. Anybody here who has animosity in his heart about any companion, you are in trouble Yawm al-Qiyamah. Your Islam, my Islam, it has to be like Abu Bakr, Uthman and Ali. That's what our dawah is. That's what our religion is. We can't go and have one jama'ah because some people over there, they believe that the Nabi is Hazir Nazir, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He's with us now, he's in China, he's on the moon, he's in New York, he's in Mogadishu. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is in Peking, China, all at the same time, everywhere. So I can't go with that individual because I know that the Nabi is not Hazir Nazir. And then the ones over there, if you don't agree with them, they put you outside of the fold of the sunnah. So I'm not going to go with them and they're not going to go with me. This is tawheed. And there's no patting on the back here, and there's no acknowledging any good deed, because there's nothing good about that. There's nothing good about that. And as such, and as a result, our brothers in Burma are dealing with what they're dealing with. Every group has to worry about his own self, when in fact this ummah is supposed to be one ummah taking care of business. So in concluding and in finishing, point number one, stay balanced, ibadallah, Ummat al-Islam. Stay balanced, the Sirat al-Mustaqim. Stay balanced. Don't go overboard in your love and your hate. Don't go overboard in your work. Don't go overboard in your ibadah. Stay balanced. Point number two, in concluding, the way of the companions, that is the Sirat al-Mustaqim. When we pray and we read Surah Al-Fatiha, Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim, guide us to the Sirat al-Mustaqim. Some of the ulama said the Sirat al-Mustaqim is the way of Abu Bakr and Umar. That's what our dua is. Guide us to the way that they were on this religion. And lastly, number three, and being on the balanced Sirat al-Mustaqim, we should acknowledge and we should recognize the good of what we put forth. And we should continuously ask Allah Ta'ala to accept it, all the while existing knowing that maybe Allah won't accept it, and maybe we may be of those people that Allah is going to punish. So we ask Allah Ta'ala to forgive us for all our sins, and to forgive us for all our indiscretions and our mistakes, and that He subhanahu wa ta'ala takes up all of those issues that we did in the month of Ramadan, and He plants our feet firmly upon the tawheed and upon following the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
غرباء